Berjumpa lagi. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta, and this is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region. Southeast Asian countries continue to battle a virus that has put business and travel to a halt. Here's a quick rundown of what some are doing to beat the coronavirus. Here in Indonesia, President Joko Widodo ordered health workers to conduct at least 10,000 COVID-19 tests nationwide each day. 50,000 test kits were brought in from South Korea. And to help the economy, several financial stimulus packages have been rolled out. Indonesia will also ban its traditional annual exodus of people streaming out of cities at the end of Ramadan. In the Philippines, Manila and the entire island of Luzon has been on lockdown since March 16, with the suspension of domestic and international travel. A local curfew is in place from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Curfew violators face up to 2 months imprisonment or fines of up to 1 million Philippine pesos or $20,000. Malaysia's government announced a stimulus package worth 250 billion ringgit or $58 billion to help stabilize the economy. 4,000 people have already been arrested for violating lockdown orders. Meanwhile, in Thailand, the government ordered a 1-month state of emergency, allowing it to impose harsh restrictions normally not allowed under law. This includes the power to implement curfews, censor the media, disperse gatherings, and deploy the military for enforcement. International arrivals have been tightly restricted, requiring medical clearances prior to departure and 14-day self-isolations after arrival. Despite having a low number of confirmed cases, Vietnam entered nationwide lockdown on April 1st. Schools have been closed since January, and mass quarantine began on March 16th. Meanwhile, in Brunei, the government and banks have reached an agreement to defer the payment of loans for 6 months in 4 sectors. This includes tourism, hospitality and events management, food and beverage, and air transport. The government will also pay 25% of private sector employees' salaries for 3 months to cushion the losses suffered by businesses. In Cambodia, travelers from Italy, Iran, Germany, Spain, France, and the US are temporarily banned from entering the country. Myanmar has ordered a curfew from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., affecting 7 million people. No end to the curfew has been given. And in Laos, all international checkpoints have been closed to stop passengers from exiting and entering the country. This country's lockdown period has been extended until May 3rd. And in Singapore, the circuit breaker to choke off the spread of the COVID-19 outbreak will be extended by another month, and existing measures will be tightened until May 4th. This means that more workplaces will be closed to further reduce the number of workers keeping essential services going. Restaurants and travel businesses around the world are among the most impacted by COVID-19. In Singapore, the hospitality industry is staring at a bleak future, as ASEAN Today's Sari Latif reports.
The pandemic's effect on the global economy has become widely evident. Those who deal in the people's business are struggling with the deep downturn. Singapore enacted an Infectious Diseases Act on March 27 to prohibit public activities, including sporting events, exhibitions, trade fairs, and public entertainment at cinemas, theaters, amusement, and computer game centers. Those who do not keep at least 1 meter apart or meet in groups of more than 10 people outside of work or school could face a fine of up to 10,000 Singapore dollars or 7,000 US. They also could get up to 6 months in prison.
我们现在公司有统一有设计了一个这种图标，就是你看我们地上这个，然后都是要有一个1米的一个安全距离，而且我们所有的桌子大桌全部都换成小桌了。
The government of Singapore also restricted travel and announced a ban on foreign tourists.
现在如果撑半年到年底还可以，再超过年底就撑不下去了。我看不是我们一家，每一家都撑不下去了。
Bars in Singapore's scenic areas have also gone empty. Business owners hope the difficult period will end soon.
Timing now, it's very hard for the employer and employees in Singapore. So hope things getting better and see how it goes.
Employees in the tourism sector will have up to 75% of their salaries paid by government subsidies for 9 months. This is part of a second wave of measures aimed at helping firms and workers cope with the impact of the coronavirus outbreak. Sari Latif for ASEAN Today.
We'll have more on travel restrictions to Singapore later in the program. But first, Asia's leaders hold a virtual summit to exchange strategies against a medical enemy. That's just ahead. You're watching ASEAN Today. I'm Raissa Chentami in Jakarta. ASEAN leaders are joining forces with China, Japan, and South Korea to try to contain a virus that has killed more than 170,000 people around the world and 1,100 in Southeast Asia. Vietnam hosted a video conference on April 14th where leaders were in the hot seat.
I would like to suggest 3 ways for ASEAN to respond together. Firstly, by sharing information, strategies, and experiences. We face a common enemy, so what works in one country may well be relevant in other countries. We should therefore keep one another updated on the situation in our own countries and cooperate with one another on issues which have to be handled together. Secondly, ASEAN should collaborate to keep trading routes and supply lines open, especially for essential goods such as food and medical supplies. Thirdly, we must build resilience to deal with future economic shocks. It would be useful for ASEAN to have a set of common criteria or guidelines on when to impose travel or trade restrictions and when and how we can relax them and with what appropriate safeguards.
All our nations are facing similar complications, and we must work together to ensure no one is left behind. Looking ahead, Malaysia would like to propose that our economic ministers have an immediate discussion to begin shaping an ASEAN economic recovery plan, which focuses not just on the financial aspects of our economies, but also on social welfare, safety nets, food security, and education for our peoples. The ASEAN Economic Recovery Plan must include measures we as a region will undertake to address issues directly faced by our more than 600 million citizens, to preserve supply chain connectivity, the smooth flow of essential medical, food, and essential supplies, and ensure critical infrastructure for trade and trading routes via air, land, and sea are preserved and remain open. We must also guard against the imposition of unnecessary restriction on the flow of medical, food, and essential supplies.
We must continue working together to end this pandemic with finality. Our most urgent priority is strengthening the capacity of our healthcare system. We call on the increased production and the facilitation of trade of vital medical equipments and supplies in our region. We support the creation of regional reserves of medical supplies to better equip us in this fight. But equally important, we must significantly enhance scientific cooperation, particularly in the area of vaccine and antiviral or viral treatment research and development.
협력기금 활용 방안도 협의 중입니다. 아시아개발은행 신탁기금을 통한 지원 방안, 아세안 플러스 3 차원에서의 기금 조성 방안을 포함해 가용한 모든 재원이 동원되어 회원국 모두가 함께 코로나19의 위기를 극복하길 희망합니다.
ASEAN usually holds 1,500 meetings a year, but more than 200 have already been postponed to later this year. More ASEAN Today is coming up shortly. How monks in Thailand are turning trash into tools to fight the coronavirus. That's next. This is ASEAN Today, coming to you from Jakarta. The monks of a Buddhist temple in Bangkok have come up with a unique way to contribute to the fight against COVID-19 while helping the environment at the same time. ASEAN Today's Fauzil Azim reports.
This innovative group of monks had already produced wearable fabrics and robes. Made from plastic bottles, they recycled. When the coronavirus pandemic hit Thailand, they shifted their focus to a more meaningful purpose.
แต่พอมาเจอโควิดเท่านั้นแหละ1ทุกองค์ต้องใส่แล้ว2หน้ากากก็พัฒนาจากหน้ากากกันฝุ่นธรรมดาเนี่ยก็มี waterproof กันน้ำได้ด้วยแล้วก็จะมีผ้านาโนมีฟิลเตอร์มี waterproof อยู่ข้างในเพื่อป้องกันให้มันได้จริงๆ
94% of all Thais are Buddhist. This broadcast of live chanting is designed to ward off plagues. Here, the reality of the pandemic is still sinking in. Buddhist rituals, such as giving alms, are changing as more restrictions are placed on everyday life. Temples nationwide are taking precautions by screening people entering, applying social distancing measures, disinfecting and sanitizing temple grounds. They are also providing free food for those in need.
ก็ทางวัดก็จะให้มารับที่วัดหรือมีไปแจกที่วัดก็คือ1จะมีเจลล้างมือ2น้ำยาฆ่าเชื้อ3หน้ากากจะผลิตให้ก็คือถ้ามาที่วัดเนี่ยจะได้
For many Thais, in times of crisis, faith is a source of personal comfort and community resilience. And for this temple, it is a moment of creativity in time of need to spread strength and hope to its followers. Fauzul Azim for ASEAN Today.
Here are several events on the ASEAN calendar. The American girl group Pussycat Dolls that have been scheduled for the first week of May in Manila has been postponed to a later date. Another postponement, Monkeys Trial 2020 was set to run on May 16th in Koh Samui but now pushed back to June. And Muslims around the world will break a month-long fast by celebrating Eid al-Fitr on May 23rd. You can't visit the Lion City anytime soon as tough entry restrictions are designed to keep Singaporeans healthy. ASEAN Today's Aisha Nadira has the story.
A partial lockdown or circuit breaker began in Singapore on April 7th with most workplaces and schools closed in a bid to break the chain of COVID-19 transmission in the city-state. During this period, workplaces are shut down, not including essential services. Singaporean citizens and residents have been advised to not socialize with anyone outside of their own household and to only go outdoors to do essential tasks. As everywhere else, the government here is well aware of the challenge healthcare workers face every day.
Because they are very stretched and they are very tired, very exhausted, some of them, and our hearts go out to them. But the best way we can support them, as Minister Lawrence Wong said, is for us to do our part. Take this circuit breaker very seriously.
The first case of COVID-19 landed on the country's shores at the end of January. Infections initially remained low, thanks to a strong tracing, detection, and isolation framework. But over the past month, there has been a marked increase in new cases. The spike in numbers has been attributed to a second wave of imported infections, mainly brought back by Singaporean citizens and residents returning home from new epicenters of the outbreak. Measures to reduce escalating infections were put in place, such as travel restrictions and the closure of entertainment venues. The government has kept lines of communication open during the global pandemic that has helped to bolster a belief in transparency and allowed for a sense of calm. Those who track the interactions of social media users see emotional reactions.
Majority of the discussions we've seen are still neutral to positive. I think when we start to look at emotions, the most commonly used emoticon seems to be fear and love. So I think the storytelling of positive stories, people are still keeping a good mind.
The government announced a third supplementary budget to help cushion the economic blow to workers, businesses, and households as a result of the lockdown. But it's just a temporary measure until the doors open once again to outside visitors that help this country's important visitor industry. Aisyah Nadira for ASEAN Today.
We like hearing from you throughout the ASEAN region and the world. All of our episodes are posted on YouTube, so check us out there if you can't find us on your local TV channel. Then let us know what you're thinking about or what you want to see on the program. Email us at ASEANTodayTV@gmail.com, post something on our Facebook page, or tweet us at ASEANTodayTV. Thailand's empty beaches are seeing the return of rare wildlife. Beaches in the south have been closed due to COVID-19, and waters have become visibly cleaner, with coral growing back nicely. On April 15th, leatherback sea turtles built a total of 11 nests, the most seen in more than 20 years. In Phuket and Phang, there have been sightings of other rare marine creatures, including dugongs, pink dolphins, and whale sharks. And that's ASEAN Today for this week. I'm Raissa Chentami of the Indonesia channel in Jakarta. Terima kasih. Please join us again next time.